Every day of our lives, we face new challenges. We go to bed expecting tomorrow to be one way, and we awake and find out that is not the way we wanted it to be. We go to bed thinking that we will need certain things, and we wake up the next day and we realize we don't need. We go to bed thinking that we have certain things, and we wake up in the morning and discover we have nothing. Although we plan and we prepare and we make all activities, there is still the unplanned, the uneventual, the unknown. And that is what makes life so interesting. Imagine how boring life would be if everything was exactly the way we wanted it to be, with no surprises. You know, you never heard yourself saying, "Surprise me." Because every day, if everything is the way I want it to be exactly, then there'll be no surprises in life. Sometimes these surprises challenges us. And in the challenge that we are given, we grow. We grow as a person because we are able to respond. We have the ability to be resilient and to rebound under all conditions. It doesn't matter how much the rain has fallen, how much the floods were, eventually the rain will stop falling, the floods will go away, and we would still have survived if we with diligence. But in order to achieve the goals of life, which we all should have, we must realize that we must take an approach in life. That is, we must have a certain approach. One, we must expect the unexpected. We must be prepared to deal with the unexpected. We must deal with the unexpected with a positive nature, never with any blame on God or mankind, but understand that whatever happens, that we do have the ability to face that challenge and to overcome them. Today my message is on the subject of how do we live in this world and be that kind of a person that we will be proud of and the whole world will admire. That we will be proud of and the whole world will admire. Now, someone will say, "Panditji, are you talking about having my name up in lights, that everybody will admire me?" No, no, no. You see, that kind of admiration is temporary. The kind of admiration that lasts forever is when someone is admired for their qualities, not necessarily for their talents. And what are their qualities? They're humane qualities. In the world we live in, we all have relationships. We have family relationships, we have business relationships, community relationships. But all of these relationships fall under three categories. We are either competing, we have a competitive relationship, or we have a cooperative relationship. Now what's the third one? We are either competing, or we are cooperating. What's the third? Or is there a third? What is the third? Anybody? Student? Complementing? Complementing? Students, what do you think? Well, we talked about competing and cooperating, complementing, cooperating, same thing. What is the third?
Differing. Differing people. Differing people.
Differing? Somebody else is saying something. Love? Okay. Now, in our relationships, we are either competing, we are cooperating, or we are self-dedicated. To be self-dedicated in a relationship, that means you have no expectation from the other person. You are giving of yourself. This self-dedicated relationship is the one that every human being must strive for. If in every marriage everybody was self-dedicated, then there'll be very little disagreement between spouse and spouse, because they're both dedicated to the marriage. But if in a marriage they're competing against each other, we know what happens. And then we say they should cooperate. What happens? The wife will say, well, I'm cooperating, but the husband is not cooperating. Or the husband will say, I'm cooperating, but the wife is not cooperating. But if there's no expectation of cooperation, there is no competition, but just a willingness to give myself, and if both people are giving, then no one will be wanting. Thus, this unique type of human relationship called a self-dedicated relationship is what all men live for. That's someone said, Panditji, are you living in a dream world? You mean I must dedicate myself? I mean the other person is not dedicating? But then if you're concerned about the other person's dedication, then you're not yourself anymore. Be concerned about your commitment, your dedication, your abilities, your joys. Not in a selfish way, but a selfless way. Now, there's quite a difference between selfish and selfless. Doing everything by yourself sometimes is very selfish. Oh, I can do it, I'm better than anybody, I don't need anyone's help. And I drive myself in that direction, and I'm successful to some degree. But if I'm self-dedicated, I will give of myself for any objective, knowing the value is not for me alone, but for all to gain, and with an open-mindedness where I'm inclusive rather than being exclusive. You see, when I'm selfish, I'm exclusive. It's me, and I, and me and I. When I'm self-dedicated, I'm inclusive. It is I and everyone else, and I'm happy to be with everybody, but I'm doing my thing regardless of what you say or what you do. I will do my duty. In chapter 12, in verse 14, this shloka epitomizes the quality of the self-dedicated individual. Chapter 12, verse 14. But before we chant verse 14, let us briefly do Gita Dhyana. Sri Krishna Namastute Vyasa Vishal Buddhe Purana Vindaya Tapar Pranela Yena Tvaya Bharat Tena Purna Prachahito Jnanamaya Pradipa Sri Krishnaya Bhagavan Uvac Yashmano Dvijite Loko Lokano Dvijite Chaya Harshamarsh Bayodege Mukto Yah Satchame Priya Sri Krishnaya Vasudevaya Govindaya Namo Namah. He by whom the world is not afflicted, meaning that person that does not do anything to cause agitation or pain or animosity or disruption of the harmonious flow of anything. And he who does not allow the actions or the words or perceived thoughts of others to afflict their harmony. Listen carefully. He or she who does not say, think, or act in a way to create disharmony or bring pain or anxiety in the lives of anyone. Now we all can say we don't do this, right? We don't do anything to upset anybody's life. Shake your head. But on the other hand, do we allow what people say and what they do and what we perceive, by the way, what we perceive their thinking to disturb our harmony in our lives? The chances are most of us allow that to happen. Because we tend to say, it is not what I did, it is what they did that's causing me to be this way. And Bhagavan Krishna is telling Arjuna that, oh Arjuna, he who can become detached and he who is free from joy and anger, fear and anxiety, when you're not concerned about what the other person is thinking or what they're saying or what they're doing, then you have no fear, you have no anxiety, you're not overjoyed about anything, and as such, no one can really touch you. This is the kind of relationship that is called a self-dedicated relationship. Whether it's a husband and wife, a brother and a sister, parents and children, associates, teammates, whatever the relationship, self-dedication is the one that is a win-win. Everybody wins. Everybody does their best. Everybody performs their duty. In a cricket team, which all of us can relate to, I hope, every player has their skills, but they are one unit. But they are self-dedicated. When the batsman goes to bat, his job is to be the best batsman. It doesn't matter what the other team is saying to him, or the fans are saying to him, or the commentator is saying to him. He says, I am going to do my duty and bat my best. But if he ever tries to bat to impress the crowd, guess what happens? He gets out very quickly. But if he's using his skills and providing his efforts in a dedicated way, he reaches a higher standard by doing his duty, self-dedicated to the objective. In life, we need to find the objective to be self-dedicated. And everyone can do this, whether we are a child, a teenager, a parent, a grandparent, a brother, sister, mother, father. But this self-dedicated approach to life, the benefit is total fulfillment. That is, we feel good about ourselves. Now, when was the last time you felt good about yourself? Don't put your hands up now, please. And when I say feel good, it's not because you had a good meal and say, that feels good. No, no, not that. The fulfillment comes from the act and the words or the thought that you have in doing something or engaging yourself in some activity that you realize, wow, I've done something good that will benefit someone else. And they are happy or they are fulfilled, thus I feel fulfilled. Sri Krishnaya Vasudevaya Govindaya Namo Namah. All together please. Sri Krishnaya Vasudevaya Govindaya Namo Namah. To be self-dedicated, we have to wake every morning and remind ourselves that our parents, through their self-dedication to our nutriment and nurturing, we are who we are. That is, when we were little babies and we couldn't fend for ourselves, our mother did not do what she did for us because she expected to get something afterwards. She became self-dedicated to the cause of nurturing a child. Nothing expected, nothing gained, but she gained great fulfillment in her heart watching the child grow through her efforts. So when we rise every morning, we must think of that fact that our parents have contributed that way, and as such, we rever them. Whether they are here with us or not with us, we still give reverence to them. And then we must remember those who have taught us, those who have guided us, those who have counseled us, and reflect upon the good words or ideas that they gave us, or examples that we must cherish to say, I must practice this today. Not because they've told me to do this, not because everybody will think I'm nice, but because I feel it is my duty to do this. When we can accept this concept in our lives, the transformation of our lives will be so profound that everyone around us will say, what's wrong with you? Not meaning there's something wrong with you, it's how you have changed so good. And when you hear people saying that about you, smile. Don't look for any glories. Realize that you are becoming a self-dedicated individual. But if you find yourself looking for praises and feeling hurt, say something nice about you, or you're envisioning that they're thinking bad things about you, you're far away from this state. Because if you're concerned about what others are thinking about you, positive and negative, then you're not self-dedicated. You're looking for their compliments or and being affected by their comments. And as such, you live by their standards and not by yours. Sri Krishnaya Vasudevaya Govindaya Namo Namah. Today as we leave here, we should start with a new beginning in our lives. These words that I've said must be like a new light shining in your life. If you've already had this philosophy, then brighten it up a little bit. And remember that every day could be a new beginning. आज अंधेरे में है हम इंसान, ज्ञान का सूरज चमका दे भगवान। आज भटक रहे हमरा अधिकारी, भगवन राधिकारी। भटक रहे हमरा अधिकारी, भगवन राधिकारी। हो कदम कदम पर कदम कदम पर किरण बिछाने, भगवन किरण बिछाने। इन अखियन को प्रभु कराए, इन अखियन को प्रभु कराए। ज्योति से ज्ञान का सूरज चमका दे भगवान। ज्ञान का सूरज चमका दे भगवान। आज अंधेरे में है हम इंसान. Today there is darkness in my world. Now what is meant by darkness? In the poetic sense and philosophical sense, when we talk about darkness, we're not talking about when the light is off darkness. We are talking about the state of mind. When the mind is confused, when there is doubt, when there is anger, anxiety, stress, distress, animosity, hatred, passion, these things are the clouds that exist in our mind. So thus we declare as human beings, Aaj andhere mein hai hum insan. There is darkness in my life, O Lord. Gyan ka suraj, chamka de Bhagavan. Let the sunshine of knowledge become a light in my life so that I will see clearly that these things that I have in my mind can be eradicated. And what are these things? What we think someone is saying, what we hear someone saying, what we know someone is doing, that we are allowing to affect us in a negative way. By the way, if they affect us positively, wonderful. But if we are affected negatively and we are caught up into that negative affection, then we are not self-dedicated. We are in a competitive mode, or we are trying to cooperate and it's not working. Do you know how many people are cooperating but it does not working? Politically, socially, academically. We were supposed to be cooperating but it didn't work. But if everybody was self-dedicated, it will work. Gyan ka suraj samka de Bhagavan. So today we leave and we are saying, let that light of knowledge. And knowledge, the light is all over. Wherever you look, you can see this Gyan ka suraj. This light of knowledge. From listening even to the person who criticizes you, to the person who is cursing you, you can become enlightened. I want you to know that it's important, and I have experienced this and I can tell you, that it's good to have someone associated with you who doesn't like you. It's good to have one associated with you who only sees the wrong things in your life. You know why? They will help you to find the wrong things in your life. You may not have noticed them. But you have to be of such a nature that when they tell you about it, you don't get offended. You say, oh, thank you, I didn't know that. But if they didn't tell you, how would you know? Now if you're walking around and your pants is unbuttoned, or if a lady, her dress is unbuttoned at the back, and you're walking around all over the place and everybody's smiling with you, and everybody's seeing you but they're laughing, but they're not telling you. The person who comes up and whispers in your ears and tell you the truth, are you going to hate them or love them? I hope you're going to hug them and say, thank you very much. I didn't know. And then quickly you correct. Similarly, there are those around us who will laugh and smile and say nice things, but they are not telling us what they really think about us. So it's good to have an honest critic, somebody who will tell you as it is. And you know, parents are like that. They tend to be like that all the time. They tell you as it is. And that's why children don't like parents to tell them anything. You know. So we must learn to have that kind of critic in our lives. We all need a critic. We all need to be criticized. But you have to be constructive critics, not destructive critics. Some of us criticize to destroy. And then parents criticize, hopefully, to elevate. Sri Krishnaya Vasudevaya Govindaya Namo Namah. So let's see what